As I held my hand over the glass, I tried to focus. The simplest thing seemed to just be to get the liquid to float from the glass. So I looked at it, concentrating on trying to lift it above the glass, make it gather. And just like that, I began to see movement in the glass. At first, rippling and shifting, as if the liquid was uncertain of what to do. Maybe it was just my concentration. I wasn't focusing enough. Kevin, why not try to picture the liquid moving? Nylea suggested. Remember, as long as the substance exists, it has form. If you wish it to move from one place to another, to change its shape or form, you have to give it instruction in the form of a path you'd like it to follow, a shape you'd like it to take, a specific kind of movement, not simply movement itself. Since it's in its liquid form, you could try one of two things. You could imagine the liquid becoming a solid and then lift it. Or you could maintain its liquid form and simply picture it moving like water through a stream. Regardless of which way you picture it, the mucus will obey your will. You simply have to focus and know what your intentions are, not just your end goal. I once again tried to brush off the fact she was calling it mucus and continued with my concentration. Okay, how about just a stream for the moment? I tried picturing the liquid moving in a stream, like a river, like water coming from a faucet. And as I did, so did the liquid, beginning to flow up from the glass in a stream. However, the stream didn't seem to have any direction to it. It started ebbing and flowing in different directions. So I guess I need to give it direction. Where to go, what to do. So I focused, trying to picture that stream flowing into my hand, gathering in a circular shape. And as I did, so did the liquid, like a stream rushing from its somewhat carefree free flow floating in air, swiftly moving in a stream-like fashion towards a circular pattern in my hand, forming a ball of this strange liquid. You see, you're already getting the hang of it, Nylea said. Remember, once you get used to it, it's a fairly simple process. You form an image in your mind, and that image becomes an instruction for the fluid. If you want it to become rigid, simply think so, and it will. But it will not lose its kinetic ability. In other words, even if you turn it into a solid, you can still make it levitate, float, and move about as you wish. Remember, it obeys your will. You can make it take whatever shape you want and move in any fashion that you wish, so long as you can picture it. The mucus will make it reality. For the moment being, try some basic exercises. Focus on turning the fluid into a solid, and then back into a fluid. Shift between these two, and move it from one place to another. This will get you used to the thought process that's required for the manipulation of this biokeyed matter, Nylea suggested. So I took her up on her advice, beginning to play around with it. Move it back and forth. I would move it to one hand, making it gather into the circular shape, after flowing like a stream from one hand to the other, and then tell it to harden, after which the substance would stop being a liquid, changing into a solid steely substance. Feeling it, it was smooth to the touch, and unlike cold steel, it actually had a little bit of warmth to it, but was surprisingly hard, feeling not much different from steel other than the ambient warmth. And whether it was solid or liquid, Nylea was right. I could still move it about. If I simply stopped focusing on it, it would drop like a stone. the same as it was in its liquid form, falling to the table with a somewhat sloppy splash, but regather quickly after I begin focusing on it again. After a few minutes of toying around with a simple ball shape and making it shift from fluid to solid, I decided to try my hand at making something a little bit more complex than a simple circle, a ball of metal. Instead, I tried picturing other objects like discs, sticks, pyramids, triangles, octagons, and regardless of what I pictured, the substance would rapidly change its shape and form, fitting whatever I was thinking of. I was actually surprised at how quickly I was being very capable of handling this. I thought there would be more challenge to it, but it almost feels like I've been doing this forever. Like second nature, like instinct. Okay, I thought. Well, this seems pretty simple thus far. But what happens if I make it a little bit more complex? So, the next thing I tried was making a weapon. I moved the fluid into a sphere in my right hand. Then, I tried picturing it changing into a large blade, like a throwing knife, with a very sharp edge. And just as I pictured it, with just as much ease, the liquid changed its shape again, flowing into the form of a bladed object. I fooled around somewhat with its shape and size, making it thinner and thicker, double-sided or one-sided, shifting it from one large blade into several small ones, and then changing those small blades into throwing stars, like ninja stars, those things you see in movies. I then tried some more complex movements, like spinning. Surprisingly, once again, it came with a fair amount of ease. All I had to do was simply picture the blades spinning, and they began to do so. After giving the initial instruction, it became clear that my intentions would actually affect its movement. If I wanted them to spin slowly, they would simply slowly rotate. But if I had the intention of them spinning fast, then without any extra effort, they seemed to start whirling wildly, and I'm talking crazy fast. So fast that I could actually hear them cutting through the air like they were powered by some sort of engine, filling the room with a whirling sound. And the moment I wanted them to stop, they'd do so on a dime. Yes, we're starting to get a good grasp of it now, Nylea said. Remember, all movement with the mucus is an act of will. It's as simple as that. You give whatever you create your focus and will, and it enacts it. You can use this whenever you want to attack or defend. There are countless different ways that you can use this to your advantage. One of my last bearers, my second one, was also a female. She was known as Bikori of the Sylvan Wave. As her favorite method of use, she would use the liquid to form minuscule fibers, like spider's thread, and then weave those fibers into a cloth that was so light it could be carried by the breeze, and she would manipulate it beautifully. It was such that you couldn't tell the difference between art and combat. These fine cloths that she created were powerful weapons that she used at her disposal, like an endless number of tendrils, obeying her will, moving as a defensive guard, ensnaring her enemies. And that was only the way she chose to use them. Each bearer has had their own unique qualities about them, fashions in which they preferred to use it. This too will be up to you to decide the fashion in which you use the power of the king. You must develop a style, a taste, a sense of use that fits you and works to your advantage, that plays towards your strengths. And the mucus will make it reality.